Warning: the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Before I start this video, I want to say to you guys, this was a very emotional video for me to do. It was very very emotional, very coming from a large family, a family of 12 children. I have 11 siblings. I have 11 brothers and sisters in total. It was very emotional reading this article and going through the research for this video. So excuse me if I was very angry. I was yelling, I was cursing, of course. I usually do that anyway, but this was very emotional for me, and I want to start this video by using a few quotes from the Bible, because I grew up with the Bible. I grew up in the church, and I just want to say that this is the devil's world, yo. The things that people do, the things that people partake in, these satanic, ritualistic killings of babies, of children, is unconscionable to me, to say the least, man. The processes in place, the legalization of the genocide of babies, of children who cannot fend for themselves, who can barely speak, who have no voice. This is what it is. Like, we are in a lower place, this 3D dimension, this lower third, I call it. This is hell. We are living in the depths of hell. And I'm saddened after having done this research. I am saddened. My heart is broken having done this research. What these people have done to children. Millions and millions of babies, especially so-called children of colors, babies of colors, to women of colors. It's a great disservice to the black race, the so-called black race. And here we are in 2021 talking about Black Lives Matter. Do Black lives really matter? They don't. Black lives don't matter, because at the end of the day, the people who are screaming Black Lives Matter, banging on the table, bumping their fists in the air, saying that Black Lives Matter, Black lives do not matter to any of these people. And these are the same very people who are engaging in these practices. These are the same fucking devils and hypocrites who say that a Black Life Matter when they're literally stripping that life away before it even takes its first step. I'm about to quote Biggie Smalls. Biggie Smalls in his album, in his first album, Ready to Die, he says, "I'm seeing my death, and I ain't even took my first step." That's exactly correct. These babies ain't even take their first steps yet, and yet here they are being stripped out of their mother's wombs, man. Sorry for the graphic imagery, people, but that's what it is. I love children and I love babies, and this broke my heart, man. So I'm gonna start this video by quoting the holy book, the Holy Bible, and some of these people, they're your very religious people, your religious sects, and as you will see in this video, it will show you as proof that Margaret Sanger, she activated what is called the religious right. She put black preachers in the forefront. Okay, listen to this carefully. Margaret Sanger's tactics was that we're not gonna go to the communities and sell them this. What we're going to do is we're going to approach the black churches. That's right, people. We are going to approach the black church, the black preachers, and we're going to activate the black preachers, and we're going to send them to the congregations, and we're going to tell them to tell the congregation that it's okay to abort children. It's okay with God. When I'm telling you it's not. This is what your Bible had to say about this world, okay? This is what your Bible has written. Your holy book has stated about Satan, right? About the father of time, Saturn, the old timer, I call him, the light bearer, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. This is what the Bible has stated. This is proof beyond a reasonable doubt that this is the devil's place. This plane is run by the devil himself, and his minions are the ones who have partaken in the killing, in the mass genocide, infanticide of black babies and other babies in this country and worldwide. Isaiah 14, ironically Isaiah, who has said that a child shall lead them, right? Isaiah 1:6 that says, and a child shall lead them, and the kingdom of God will belong to the children. So this is a word for coming from Isaiah the prophet, one of my favorite prophets of the Bible. Isaiah 14 verse 12 through 15 says this about Lucifer and the world, right? Isaiah, how you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn, how you are cut down to the ground, right? The ground meaning this earth, this planet, this physical plane. You who laid the nations low, you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven above the stars of God. I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High, but you are brought to shame, the far reaches of the pit. In Matthew 4, verse 8 and 9, it says, it reads, again, the devil took him high. The devil took him to a very high place, to a high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, speaking of Christ, all these I will give you if you will fall down and worship me. So this is saying that the devil pretty much is saying to Christ, this is my kingdom, and if you worship me, I will give you everything in this kingdom. And this is what the Bible has to say about Lucifer and how he has set up his kingdom on this planet, right? So this is the devil's planet. This is the devil's plane right here. Make no mistake about it. I'm looking for this verse that's going to pretty much put everything in perspective. This verse that I used to read a lot growing up. This is a very interesting verse. Once you hear this, then you realize where you are. You'll realize who's in charge, right? Job 1 verse 6, one of my favorite books of the Bible, Job. This is from Job, the first chapter, verse 6 through 12. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came along with them. I'm going to read that again in Job 1 verse 6 through 12. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, from where have you come? Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down on it. And the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. So in other words, Satan was saying pretty much the reason why Job worships you and he's your servant, the reason why Job is in your service, because you've given him everything. Why don't you try and strip him away of everything, which God actually did? God actually stripped Job of everything. Took his wives away, took his belongings away, took his wealth away, took his land, his animal, his stock. His animal stock, they all died of disease and famine, and God even threw a disease on Job, and Job lost everything. And in this lesson, we realize that Job still worshiped God and still was a faithful servant of God. But the point I'm making in this video is, the point I'm making here is that the devil goes to and fro and walking upon the earth. The devil and the sons of God, right? The devil and the sons of God came to God. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. Satan being one of the sons of God who rules this earth. So this is where you are. This is where we are right now at this moment in time and space, living in the devil's place, in the devil's realm. This is what it is.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be back in Houston with so many friends and to have an opportunity to participate in the Planned Parenthood annual meeting. I have to tell you that it was a great privilege when I was told that I would receive this award. I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. Another of my great friends, Ellen Chesler, is here, who wrote a magnificent biography of Margaret Sanger called Woman of Valor. And when I think about what she did all those years ago in Brooklyn, taking on archetypes, taking on attitudes and accusations flowing from all directions, I am really in awe of her. And there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from her life and from the cause she launched and fought for and sacrificed so greatly.
Do you believe in sin? When I say believe, I don't mean believe in committing sin. Do you believe there is such a thing as sin?
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born. That, to me, is the greatest sin that people can commit.
For more than a century, Planned Parenthood has provided essential services for women. Not just reproductive health services, including access to affordable family planning, but cancer screenings, for example, and other health checkups. And I think it is unfortunate that Planned Parenthood has been the object of such a concerted attack for so many years. And it's really an attack against a woman's right to choose, to make the most personal, difficult decisions that any woman would face based on her faith and the medical advice that she's given. So I'm hoping that this situation will not further undermine the very important services that Planned Parenthood provides across our country.
Planned Parenthood is on the defensive this morning, facing an investigation of its practices. An undercover video alleges the reproductive health organization sells body parts from abortions. The group says the claims are flat out untrue. Jan Crawford is in Washington, where 3 congressional committees are now getting involved. Jan, good morning.
Well, good morning. So the video was secretly recorded by the anti-abortion group as part of a 2.5-year sting operation. Here, 2 members posed as employees of a biotech firm to get access to a top doctor at Planned Parenthood. And over lunch, they recorded the whole conversation.
A lot of people want exact parts these days.
In graphic detail, Planned Parenthood's Senior Director of Medical Services described how to preserve valuable fetal tissue during an abortion.
We've been very good at getting parts on liver because we know that So I'm not going to crush that part. I'm going to basically crush below, I'm going to crush above, and I'm going to see if I can get it intact.
Over wine and salad, she answered questions about the organization providing fetal tissue to researchers, typically for a fee.
I would say it's probably anywhere from $30 to $100, depending on the facility and what's involved.
The backlash was immediate. Republican presidential candidates pounced.
I just think it's outrageous and disgusting.
And Congress announced it will investigate.
I don't care how much political weight Planned Parenthood throws around this town. No one is above the law.
But Planned Parenthood says it is following the law, that it provides the tissue legally for scientific research with consent from patients and no financial benefit. Any fees merely are to cover costs, a point the doctor made repeatedly.
The village are not looking to make money right here.
Planned Parenthood blasted the heavily edited video as the work of extreme anti-abortion activists. David DeLeeden is founder of the group that took the video.
Planned Parenthood is still receiving $50, $75, sometimes $100 per specimen per fetal part. So all of that is just straight up profit that goes to their bottom line.
But even if it's done legally, medical ethicists question whether Planned Parenthood should be in the business of providing fetal tissue.
You've got to be sure that it's the patient, the woman, who is at the center of your concern, and nothing else is diverting from that.
And this issue is not going away. DeLeiden says his group has up to a dozen additional videos of top officials from Planned Parenthood from across the country, which he's going to be releasing in the days and weeks to come. And we asked Planned Parenthood for an interview, but so far they have not made anyone available.
I will defend Planned Parenthood. I will defend Roe v. Wade, and I will defend women's rights to make their own health care decisions. He said women should be punished, that there should be some form of punishment for women who obtain abortions, and I could just not be more opposed to that kind of thinking.
If you go with what Hillary is saying, in the 9th month, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb of the mother just prior to the birth of the baby. Now, you can say that that's okay, and Hillary can say that that's okay, but it's not okay with me.
Peace, everyone. Peace, my family. Happy Friday, also known as Freda, the goddess of love, fertility, abundance, wealth, health, and everything else above and beyond this dimension of ours. Happy Friday. So, someone I know asked me to do this video, actually a while back, where I wasn't ready to because I was so busy with everything else, but today I decided to tackle this topic. Is a topic that's actually in the news right now in the so-called mainstream media, so I figured I'd go and have at it. So here we go. We're going to discuss abortion. It's not going to be a long video, but just pretty much the basic history of abortions, who started it, Planned Parenthood, and I'm sure that the intentions based on the evidence I'm about to provide will show you that abortions is a very simple thing. You know, there are people on the right of this conversation, and there's people on the left. What you need to keep in mind is that yes, it is a woman's right to choose. I agree with that. And I might also say personally, as a man, as a black man, if I was in favor of abortions, right, I wouldn't have my 3 children that I have today. I just want to say that on the outset. Let me repeat that. If I believed in abortions, I would not be a father today in 2021. I have 3 beautiful children. So it goes without saying, even though I do believe in a woman's right to choose, but my first instinct, okay, let me make that clear. My first instinct as a black male is to be in a position, well, let me rephrase that. Not just as a black man, that is just the surface. As a spiritual being, first and foremost, my first instinct is to be pro-life, right? It makes absolute sense to me that if you believe in life, that you would want to protect life itself, right? No questions asked. That is the first and foremost important thing in this conversation. Do you believe in life or not? You might be pro-choice. Pro-choice doesn't mean that pro-life doesn't mean that you're against choice. That's the great disinformation about this conversation. We have to clarify that. I'm going to reiterate that. Being pro-life doesn't mean you are against a woman's right to choose, okay? So I wanted to start with that. And with that said, let's get into this conversation real quick. I have an article here from the University of Pittsburgh. University of Pittsburgh has literally been caught pretty much experimenting on babies, unaborted babies, and people don't realize how huge of a market it is. The trafficking, the selling, the importing and exporting of baby fetuses. It's a big commodity. If you didn't know, now you know. They sell baby fetuses for all types of things. Research, development, cancer research. They have these baby fetuses in labs all across the country, all around the world. They sell and traffic these organs so that they can reuse them as stem cells. In a previous video, I briefly mentioned how they use stem cells in science research, in NASA research, for them to properly, equip their so-called spaceships, space shuttles, pretending they're going to Mars, they're going to other planets. They use those baby fetuses for those reasons. If you look at the ingredients in some of your key foods, and I could have a list of a bunch of different things that actively have baby fetal tissue in them. That's right, people. In most of your foods, especially your packaged processed foods, you are eating products that were made out of the fetal tissues of babies, okay? And I'm not gonna get into no argument about this. All you have to do is use your common sense and do some fucking research, okay? So the University of Pittsburgh, doctors say statements point to possibilities, organs extracted from live fetuses. But of course, the school denies the charges. Let's go into the article, okay? Statements from the University of Pittsburgh indicate one of its federally funded research. You heard? Federally funded, being funded by the government. Our U.S. government is federally funding research projects utilize organs that might have been extracted from live fetuses, several scholars and doctors have said. The issue emerged earlier this week when Judicial Watch, right, JW, released documents in which Pitt, also known as Pittsburgh, the University of Pittsburgh, that Pitt told the National Institute of Health, sounds familiar, the NIH, it sought to develop a pipeline to the acquisition, quality control, and distribution of human genitourinary, the urinary and genital organs and functions, samples obtained throughout development, meaning 6 to 42 weeks of gestation. 6 to 42 weeks of gestation, according to NIH. 40 weeks is considered full term, while after 42 weeks is considered post-term or overdue. So basically what this is saying is they are extracting a live baby from its mother, from the womb, at 40 weeks old, which is a full term or overdue term baby. So that means a live human being is being extracted from the mother for their uses. Pitt referenced a long list of organs including liver, heart, gonads, leg brain, genitourinary tissues, including kidneys, ureters, and bladders. The last three were a focus of the research project known as GUDMAP, GUDMAP, for which Pitt was seeking funding. Fetal tissue research has been a controversial subject for Pitt as recently and it recently attracted scrutiny over an experiment that involved grafting, here's that word again, grafting fetal scalps onto rodents. But the issue stretches beyond the university as fetal tissue is extracted through abortion techniques that have raised anti-abortion activists' concerns about live births and potential violations of tissue trafficking law. One part, among others, from the released documents sounded alarm bells for Center for Medical Progress founder David Deladin in positioning itself as a potential hub for fetal tissue. Pitt told NIH it could minimize ischemia time, which I'm going to go into in a little bit because there have been research done on this condition, and I'll get into that a little bit later. There's even a show on Netflix. Like I always say, there's always a show. Hollywood is always putting you on game if you pay attention. So pay attention to this word, ischemia, ischemia, ischemia. It's a condition that happens in adults, but we'll get into that conversation a little bit later. This is a very spiritual thing. The reason why these people are doing this is very clear. Is because they want to extract some type of very powerful and supernatural thing, tissue, stem cells, that they can use to do other shit in this reality. So they're using pretty much the God particle in unborn babies so that they can use for their own benefits here to do damage and do evil shit pretty much. That's what this is all about. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's continue with this article. So they're using the potential hub for fetal tissue. Pitt told NIH it could minimize ischemia time to ensure the highest quality biological specimens. Okay? According to NIH, ischemia is a lack of blood supply to a part of the body. Pay attention. David Selden, the university's assistant vice chancellor for news, told Fox News on Thursday, in this case, ischemia time refers to the time after the tissue collection procedure and before cooling for storage and transport. It does not have an impact on how the procedure is performed, which is always at the discretion of the attending physician and determined with the patient's health and top priority. Deladin, who is not a physician but has followed these issues for years, quickly responded on Twitter that ischemia starts when the organ is cut off from blood, and that happens after the collection. That means there's blood flow during collection. For him and others, blood flow raises questions about cardiac activity, which in turn raises questions about whether the fetus is alive. That's a very good point. The baby's going to have to be either born alive or be killed immediately prior to delivery, said Dr. Kati Ottman, an OBGYN who previously performed abortions but later came to oppose the procedure. So pretty much this doctor came to her senses. This doctor realized that this is wrong. This shit is wrong. So having done it and now being in opposition of it, which is the right thing to do. So this person came to their spiritual senses and said, no, I can't be doing this anymore. My morals and my conscience won't let me. That's what happens when you decide to be a conscious, sentient human being. That's what happens. You realize this shit is wrong, right? There's also a link here that says millions in federal money flowed to tissue bank that collected fetal heart, gonads, legs, brain, according to a report. So Dr. Christina Francis, who chairs the American Association of Pro-Life Gynecologists, AAPLOG acronym, told Fox News she agreed with Deladin. If it says ischemia time starts after tissue collection, that means that the baby is still alive at the time they're harvesting the tissue, she said. Likening the practices to those of the infamous Kermit Gosnell. It's horrific and does not constitute good science or compassionate medical care. Ensuring fetal demise, as some put it, can involve dismembering the fetus or using a feticide like digoxin, both of which may render the tissue unusable. If Pittsburgh wants to use live tissue, they cannot use digoxin, Juro told Fox News. It is unclear how abortions were performed that resulted in tissue for GoodMap, GUDMAP, that association, which pretty much are given permission by the federal government, right? By these evil fucking blood-sucking demonic beings who allow doctors throughout the country through funding of our tax dollars to hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of medical labs around this country through universities and medical facilities. That's what's fucking going on. It is unclear how abortions were performed that resulted in tissue for GoodMap. Pitt's application lists 3 types of abortion procedures that would potentially be performed on donors: dilation and curettage, dilation and evacuation, or labor induction abortions. It is unclear how abortions were performed that resulted in this. Labor induction in particular has prompted anti-abortion concerns that fetuses could be born intact or alive. Real-world examples of those outcomes have been uncovered during depositions for Deladen's civil trial with Planned Parenthood. These centered on affiliates in other parts of the country, not Pittsburgh. Pitt has also had historically a professor who filmed and conducted live, non-invasive experiments on fetuses as young as 5.5 to 14 weeks. And in 1972, a nurse at a hospital affiliated with Pitt testified to seeing fetuses breathing. I'm gonna read this again. Pitt has also historically had a professor who filmed and conducted live, non-invasive experiments on fetuses as young as 5.5 to 14 weeks. And in 1972, a nurse at a hospital affiliated with Pittsburgh University, testified to seeing fetuses breathing. So in other words, they want to sit here and talk about, oh, when does life start? When does life start, motherfucker? They want to sit here and pretend it's a woman's right to choose. It's a woman's rights to choose. That's bullshit. That's what they want you to believe. That's what they want to brainwash you to believe. If you say you're pro-life, oh, then you don't respect the woman's right to choose. How many women do I know that are pro-life? What happened to those women? If my mother believed in abortions, I wouldn't be here. I would not be here. And a lot of you motherfuckers who think this way, you wouldn't be here. So, in essence, you're correct. Your mother should have aborted your fucking ass. That's what should have happened. You should have been aborted. So you wouldn't be here trying to talk about, oh yeah, a woman this, a woman that. So at the end of the day, it's not really about the woman. That's what they use. That's what they put in front of you. It's a woman's right to choose. No, motherfucker, you're paying for this medical establishment, this demonic fucking entity, to suck the life out of children, using children as body parts so they can use and sell and traffic. That's what this is all about. To me, that's it. And I'm giving you the information right there. So you take it or leave it and do whatever the fuck you want with it. But I'm telling you, this is what's going on, okay? How can you live with yourself? You have to be some sort of demon to go through this type of shit. You can't be human. You can't have a heart for you to do this while a baby is breathing. Fetus or no fetus, it is breathing. But yet you're gonna sit there and tell me and pretend that this is not alive, this is not a live human being? On the 48th anniversary of Roe v. Wade, which is a whole other video, questions remain in Planned Parenthood controversies. Roe v. Wade, that's what they always throw at you. Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court decision that made abortions legal. That's a whole other video, y'all. Let's continue. It was repulsive to watch live fetuses being packed in ice while still moving and trying to breathe and move. This is heartbreaking, man. Like, I don't even think I can continue this shit right here. I don't even think, because as I'm reading this shit, like, I'm feeling sick. I'm feeling sick reading this shit. Repulsive is not the word. Disgusted, man. Like, I can't do it. It was repulsive to watch live fetuses being packed in ice while still moving and trying to breathe and move, then being rushed to some laboratory and hear a medical student later discuss the experience of examining various organs of a once live baby, the nurse said, according to Susan Rini, Beyond Abortion. Neither Pittsburgh nor its medical center responded to Fox News' questions about the professor on the nurse's testimony. According to Rini, UPMC didn't deny the allegation following the nurse's testimony. Of course they didn't deny it, because they're fucking doing it. It's unclear what exactly happened during the abortions that yielded the tissue later used for Pittsburgh's federally funded study. Moreover, the university maintains all of the abortions complied with state law. Moreover, the university maintains all of its abortions complied with state law. As long as we comply, we can do this procedures because we are medically and federally funded. So in compliance with federal law, we are allowed to break every law of human nature and natural law, that is to eradicate life from this fucking planet, okay? Nonetheless, its statements have inspired skepticism. One thing is sure, said Francis's colleague, AAPLOG CEO, Dr. Donna Harrison. These babies would not receive a feticide procedure prior to the abortion because induction abortion after feticide can take hours to days, and the baby's tissue would be ischemic. That's the word again, ischemia. So it would be ischemic from the time of demise until delivery. Okay? It is likely that these babies are being delivered by induction abortion, and likely that a substantial portion of these babies are actually alive at the time of organ harvesting. David Prentice, Vice President and Research Director of the Anti-Abortion Charlotte Lozier Institute, told Fox News, as the saying goes, if you don't have anything to hide, don't act like it. Prentice holds a doctorate in biochemistry and has over 40 years experience as a scientific researcher and professor. The Trump administration appointed Prentice to serve on the Human Fetal Tissue Ethics Advisory Board at the Health and Human Services Department. Good for Trump. That's why they wanted to rush him out of there, for real. These heavily redacted documents hide a lot of details, and because one method of abortion listed is labor induction, there is the distinct possibility that some of these babies were born alive and then their organs harvested, which would be a horrific abuse of science and human decency. You hear that? There is a distinct possibility that some of these babies were born alive and their organs harvested, which would be a horrific abuse of science and human decency. Prentice said, there are so many questions raised by this heavily redacted information, and the University of Pittsburgh, as well as NIH, owe clarity and transparency to the American people. So basically, what this is pretty much saying is that the documents that they've been forced, not willingly, they're forced to give out this document, but when they get the document, it's like a classified document. Have you guys ever seen a classified document? A classified document meaning that it's so redacted, meaning that it's blurted out, like it's blocked, it's literally blocked out, like it's all black. Most of the writing is blocked out. You can't read what it's saying. So in other words, a redacted document is bullshit because you can't even make out what's in the document because it's been so heavily redacted, right? Just like a highly classified document, if it's redacted, there is no way you can read the information because it's blocked away from you. So in other words, it's fucking pointless. I'll copy an example of a redacted document so you guys see exactly what I'm talking about. It's pretty much ridiculous. Tracy Chensenkos, who is not a physician but has a doctorate in chemistry and studies these issues while leading the St. Philip's Institute, told Fox News, just taking Selden at his words, yes, it sounds like he's saying the organs are harvested from still living babies, or at least from babies killed just before harvesting. Surprise, surprise. In an email to Fox News, Selden firmly denies tissues were alive during tissue collection. These irresponsible accusations are completely false, he said. Dr. Mitchell Crinion, who served in leading positions at Pitt, also said via email that Selden's original statement didn't imply the fetuses were alive. Crinion himself placed that word in quotes, apparently reflecting the differences in opinion as to when a fetus dies during procedures. Fox News asked Crinion via email if ischemia starts after the tissue collection procedure. Wouldn't that indicate that the procedure for removing the tissue starts before loss of blood flow? Crinion responded, not necessarily. Their definition is correct. Selden added, as we have repeatedly noted, the University of Pittsburgh, Pitt, does not perform medical procedures and is not part of the tissue collection process. All of the university's research is closely supervised to ensure compliance with strict and rigorous federal and state laws and regulations. When asked at what point fetuses die in the tissue collection process, Selden told Fox News, as we have noted before, Pitt does not play a role in any medical procedure. He did not respond to an inquiry for additional explanation or if he would like to clarify his initial comment about ischemia. It's unclear why he spoke about the tissue. It's unclear why he spoke about the issue if Pitt played no role in medical procedures. The responses from Selden, who previously worked in the Clinton White House, surprise, surprise, the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton White House, the Clinton this, the Clinton that, of course, would be in the middle of this conversation. For Senator Ron Wyden, D. Oregon, Democrat from Oregon, and NARAL's communications director left many questions unanswered. For example, critics' accusations referred to the nature of the tissue extraction rather than what Selden primarily addressed, which was the researcher's conduct. His statement also appeared to sidestep the documented connections between Pitt, UPMC, and Planned Parenthood of Western Pennsylvania, PPWP acronym. The university told NIH in 2015 that its tissue bank was embedded within Pitt's Department of Pathology, thus providing rapid access to very high-quality tissue and biological specimens. Pitt has repeatedly told Fox News that it and UPMC are separate entities, although the website for its human tissue bank identifies lab in 3 of UPMC's facilities. The university also shares staff with has received tissue from and engages in other capacities with its medical center. For example, the university has hosted a residency program in which participants improve abortion techniques and engage in other activities while working in UPMC facilities and PPWP clinic. As was the case with Crinion, PPWP's medical director, Dr. Beatrice Chan, has served in various positions for UPMC, Pitt, and Planned Parenthood affiliate. Several citations on Pittsburgh's website also list the two as co-authors for publications. A quick link also says Planned Parenthood under investigation by Justice Department over sale of fetal tissue. So the Justice Department right now is actually being run by Garland. Something, I forgot his first name. He was up under Obama. He was up for a Supreme Court justice, but the Republicans went crazy because they know his history, they know his background, and the Supreme and the Congress under the Republicans, they refused to confirm him as a Supreme Court justice. But under Biden, of course, Biden just appointed Garland as the top cop of the Justice Department. So Garland, ironically enough, Planned Parenthood is under investigation by Justice Department over sale of fetal tissue. So my point is, Garland is a pro-abortion motherfucker. That's why they refused him to be in the Supreme Court. So you think Garland is going to do anything about Pittsburgh selling fetal tissue? This is really, really, really upsetting to even fathom. This is what's taking place in our society. This is what's happening to the voiceless. This is what's happening to the underprivileged. This is what's happening to women across America. This is what's happening to babies, unborn babies and live-born babies being literally massacred and killed by laboratories and facilities and medical clinics and in colleges and hospitals and medical centers all throughout this country and throughout the world. It's unacceptable. It is. I remember in 1995, 96, my first year of college, I remember Professor Jeffries, who I love so much, has always told us the only thing you can do, the only power you have in an oppressive system is speaking out. If you don't speak out, the only way you could shame the oppressor is by shaming them. If you cannot even do that, then you're fucking useless. You have to use your voice to shame. That is the basis of human rights. Professor Jeffries' exact words. The basis of human rights is to shame those in power who cannot control their power. So that your obligation to being righteous, to being justifiable, to be conscious, is to shame those in power. Chan, this Dr. Chan, who serves as Maggie's director of family planning meaning abortion clinics. That's the other word. That's the little play on word, family planning. We're planning family stuff, family planning. If you're a mother of 2, a mother of 3, and you want to have more babies, they give you this family planning, meaning like birth control pills, condoms, abortions. This is very popular throughout the Caribbean in these so-called third world countries where they use this these play on words. Family planning is code word for abort your babies, and they'll say, oh well, this is a poor family, they're impoverished community, impoverished country, this and that, third world. They throw these fucking fancy Harvard words at you so you could feel like this is the right thing to do. So this is what they mean when they say family planning, people. Chan, who serves as Maggie's director of family planning, was listed in Pittsburgh's annual report as outreach contracted care, along with 3 other doctors for PPWP. One of Deladin's undercover videos also raised questions about PPW's connection to Pittsburgh and a subsidiary of UPMC, while UPMC has denied having a procurement relationship with PPWC. Chen's various capacities have also prompted concerns. UPMC therapist Ryan Navarro submitted a complaint to UPMC's compliance hotline earlier this year, noting that Chen also served on the university's Institutional Review Board, IRB acronym, which vets Pitt's research projects. Navarro told Fox News on Monday that he was told the complaint was filed to Pitt's ethics department, although he hadn't heard any further updates. Neither Pitt nor Chen responded to Fox News' inquiries about this complaint. Of course, they're not going to respond because that's what they're doing. So in other words, this person is saying, hey, I've submitted a complaint to their own board. So how can Chen, who is running these facilities, be a member of their ethics board? You see what's going on? The person who's actually conducting these practices is also a member of the ethics board. How can I be the dope dealer and also be in charge of the war on drugs? How can I be a drug trafficker and also be the police officer who's been hired to stop drugs from flowing into the cities? Get the fuck out of here. When Vice Chancellor Paul Supowitz corresponded with state lawmakers about the fetal scalp study, he noted that the university's Institutional Review Board approved the acquisition of stem cells. Of course, they're going to approve it because the people who are doing it are also the fucking people who are in charge of not allowing it to happen. You see the game? Obtained by Fox News, the statement read, the researchers in this matter followed all applicable federal and state guidelines and regulations, with Pennsylvania having one of the most restrictive set of requirements in the nation, as well as strict protocols approved by the university. The university's committees of institutional animal care and use, human stem cell research oversight, and institutional biosafety approved the research. It is funded by a research grant from the National Institute of Health. The tissue came from a tissue bank that provides a wide array of biological tissues for research and meets extensive legal, regulatory, and university requirements. Blah, 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 fucking blah. Bullshit. In other words, the people who are policing the process are also the people who are partaking in taking advantage of the very process they've been hired to control and to oversee and have oversight. In other words, we're gonna let the lions and the wolves and the hyenas run the fucking farm full of chickens, baby. That's what's going on, bruh. To ensure that these activities do not give rise to conflicts of interest, you think? Here it is. Here's the big gimmick. To ensure that these activities do not give rise to conflicts of interest or effort, the university has a robust process that requires disclosure. Yeah, disclosure. The redacted documents that you can't fucking read. That requires disclosure of faculty's external engagements for review. Faculty who are employed by both Pitt and UPMC are subject to conflict reviews by both institutions. Zwick also told Fox News the university does not obtain fetal tissue from Planned Parenthood, does not use any of its state appropriation to fund fetal tissue research, and follows all laws and regulations governing fetal tissue research. Bullshit. PPW and its national component, Planned Parenthood Federation of America, also known as PPFA, did not respond to Fox News' request for comments. No surprise there. Proponents say fetal tissue research helps scientists develop treatments for debilitating diseases. There it is. There it is, amongst other things, like I said in the beginning of this video, for medical research, for rich, wealthy people who have bad hearts, who have bad livers, bad kidneys, bad organs. They use them tissues to give them new fucking hearts, livers, transplants, and all this shit, and to sell to PepsiCo, to Coca-Cola Company, and all these other Nabisco, Nestle, all the little snacks that you love to eat, or your soft drinks, your McDonald's, your KFCs, baby fetuses, baby. That's what we're eating. All right. Proponents say fetal tissue research helps scientists develop treatments for debilitating diseases. In May, Zwick said researchers at Pittsburgh and other leading medical research institutions use fetal tissue in certain instances because it has proven to be an important method for combating and curing some of our most devastating diseases, including ALS, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, spinal cord injury, and others. So it makes it absolutely okay because we're repairing and we're fixing and we're curing all these debilitating diseases in order to do this thing. So it's okay. As long as we're curing fucking cancer in order to cure all these things, so we have a right to do that. We have the right to do that because babies can't speak for themselves. Fetuses have no voice, so it's okay. It's okay because we're curing things along the way, so it's all right to use fucking humans who cannot fight for themselves, so they have no rights. Motherfucker, what world are we in, bro? While it is unclear how the controversy will unfold, a leading state lawmaker has already called on the Auditor General to probe the university's funding. Now, what I want to know is this Auditor General, whose pocket is he in or is she in? This is somebody's pocket. Somebody's paying that Auditor General. So that's why this goes on. This cycle of killing babies goes on because everybody's profiting. Remember, this thing is a multi-billion-dollar business. The trafficking of humans, the trafficking of babies, the trafficking of children, the trafficking of fetuses, live or not alive, is a multi-billion-dollar business. Okay? Let's continue. Planned Parenthood also brought a civil suit against Deladin, resulting in sworn depositions that shed light on the condition of fetuses after abortion. At least one Planned Parenthood official, John Dunn, acknowledged that his affiliates saw an infant born alive after an abortion. What's more, the depositions included a procurement manager from one of the nation's oldest tissue procurers, Advanced Biosciences Resources, stating she saw intact fetuses or those with closed abdomens leave the mother's womb. The manager, Perrin Loughton, also discussed seeing hearts beating independently. I can see hearts that are not in an intact POC meaning a product of conception, that are beating independently, but they're not attaching to anything. Let me read that shit again. The manager, Perrin Loughton, also discussed seeing hearts, and I quote, beating independently. I can see hearts that are not in an intact POC, product of conception, that are beating independently, but they're not attached to anything. Lawton said in a transcript reviewed by Fox News. Lawton did not respond to inquiry for Fox News at this time. Dr. Deborah Nucatola, a Planned Parenthood medical director, told Deladin's attorney she was sure she'd seen non-viable fetuses exit the uterus. By non-viable, she meant not capable of survival. So here we are playing God, people. It wasn't breathing. Somebody said they saw it breathing by itself, but this motherfucker saying no, they were non-viable. That means that they were not capable of survival. So the heart was beating. So this person determined that, well, the heart is beating, so it's not gonna make it. It's not gonna live. So let's go on and pack it in an icebox and ship it off somewhere, okay? Here's a quick link. Unsealed docs show Planned Parenthood charge $25,000 for body parts, blood samples within months. The link said unsealed documents show Planned Parenthood charge $25,000 for body parts.
I will defend Planned Parenthood. I will defend Roe v. Wade, and I will defend women's rights to make their own health care decisions.
Planned Parenthood has repeatedly denied wrongdoing, and in 2018, its Kentucky affiliate flatly denied engaging in infanticide. Infanticide meaning, obviously, the mass killing of children, the mass killing of babies, the mass killing of fetuses, the mass killing of unborn babies. That's what the term infanticide means. The national office also condemned a bill that year, that in 2018, that would impose criminal penalties on doctors who didn't provide abortion survivors with life-saving care. Get the fuck out of here. Medical guidelines and ethics already compel physicians facing life-threatening circumstances to respond. Doctors and clinicians oppose this law because it prevents them from giving the best care to their patients, the group said. The debate intensified earlier this year meaning 2021. Pennsylvania state legislature held a hearing in which they discussed the study involved fetal scalps and rodents. Fetal scalps and rodents. They're mixing, they're inbreeding fucking cells in their labs. That's how you get all these diseases. They create all these diseases going on, bro. Fucking insane, man. Pitt researchers participated in the study, and the tissue was obtained by the university's Human Tissue Bank, also known as the Pittsburgh Biospecimen Corps. Around that time, Deladin released a video alleging that sources said Pittsburgh was a major hub for the FBI's investigation into PPFA's fetal tissue practices. Pittsburgh's Supplewitz told the state legislature that the university had no knowledge of any FBI investigation into our fetal tissue research practices. Okay, so about to wrap this article up with the following. The Department of Justice has remained relatively quiet. Of course it has. It's being run by demons under Garland. Again, I'm telling you, Garland is a fucking killer. He was literally stopped from becoming a Supreme Court justice on the basis of his history of being pro-abortion. So yeah, of course the Department of Justice has remained relatively quiet since the 2017 letter about the investigations into PPFA's practices. That letter did not mention Pitt. Earlier this year, the issue arose in questions from Senator Mike Lee, Utah, Republican from Utah, who serves on the House Judiciary Committee, to then nominee for Attorney General Merrick Garland. There it is, Merrick. That's his name, Merrick Garland, who they blocked from becoming a Supreme Court justice, and somehow through Biden found a way to become the head of the Justice Department. There it is. There is your corruption right there. Right there, people. Receipts within your own government. Based on the evidence that Planned Parenthood profited from the purchase and sale of fetal tissue, the FBI opened its current investigation in the sale of fetal tissue, Lee stated. The FBI's Pittsburgh office previously told Fox News it wouldn't confirm or deny the existence of investigations. They're hiding it. Lee's office did not respond to Fox News' April inquiry about this. PPFA has vehemently denied selling fetal tissue. It's defended itself by citing the lack of public evidence in addition to findings from multiple state-level investigations, while arguing that Deladin's videos were heavily edited, criticisms that a federal judge disputed in 2019. So in other words, they're saying that, well, these videos were edited. How were they edited? And the evidence is right there that these people were caught red-handedly trying to sell fetal parts, fetal body parts. Members of this fetus were being sold on camera, under hidden camera. So the videos were edited, so that means the evidence was tainted? Really? The FBI's Pittsburgh office previously told Fox News it wouldn't confirm or deny the existence of the investigations. Lee's office did not respond to Fox News' April inquiry about this. PPFA has vehemently denied selling fetal tissue. It's defended itself by citing the lack of public evidence, in addition to findings from multiple state-level investigations, while arguing that Deladen's videos were heavily edited, criticisms that a federal judge disputed in 2019. Good for you, Judge. A 2015 review by Pennsylvania's Democratic administration also found no evidence that PPFA was involved in fetal tissue donation in the state. Its health secretary, that transgender, who is now under the Biden's administration. So it's all a fucking farce and a game, man. It's a fucking game. Of course they would find no wrongdoing. A 2015 review by Pennsylvania's Democratic administration also found no evidence that PPFA was involved in fetal tissue donation in the state. Its health secretary also said there was no evidence that any Planned Parenthood site in this Commonwealth is involved in the buying or selling of fetal tissue. I'm gonna get a real quick picture of the Secretary of Health, that demented transgender woman, so-called transgender woman, who runs Pennsylvania's Department of Health. Then you guys will see how deep this demonic shit goes. All right, so that's the end of the article. In closing, Pittsburgh is guilty as charged. Pittsburgh is not being held accountable for pretty much in the practice of killing, mad genocide, infanticide, whatever you want to call it. The mass killing of unborn babies, whether they're fetuses from, based on the article, as early as 5.5 weeks to 42 weeks, which means it's an overdue baby. 42 weeks, up to 40 weeks, which at 42 weeks is a full-term baby, which is called scientifically an overdue baby. So this is what's going on. The article is only talking about the University of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But if you look around the whole country, you look at New York, Columbia University has labs, NYU, look at Harvard in Boston, you look at USC, the University of Southern California, you look at all throughout Virginia, Indiana State, you look down in Louisiana, LSU, the University of Louisiana. I can go on and on and on. Throughout the entire country, these are the practices that are going on. Women who have been duped, women who have been bamboozled under the pretense of the woman's right to choose, right? Which is a farce that's been propagated by the far left, so to speak, right? Who have made it their personal business by the historical fact that this woman, this geneticist, this racist, this baby killer, Margaret Sanger, who again happened to be, who else? Hillary Clinton's mentor, idol, right? I love me some Margaret Sanger, Hillary Clinton said in a speech, right, in Texas while receiving this award, who praised Margaret Sanger. So this is what's going on. This is the world of Satan, y'all. This is the world of the devil, where millions and millions of babies, millions and millions of children are aborted every single year, and no one says nothing about it. These are the unspoken voices, man. This is what's happening. This is what the abortion issue is about. This is what Roe v. Wade, whenever you hear Roe v. Wade, when you hear this argument, Roe v. Wade, when the Supreme Court sat there and said, yes, women have a right to choose, but which is a false pretense, because at the end of the day, it's not really about women's rights, because they couldn't give a fuck about the rights of women. It's all about these practices of the killing of babies, the killing of children, the killing of innocent lives. So there you have it, folks. That's what the abortion issue is about. This is why they're coming down so hard on Texas. This is why I applaud the Texas legislature. This is why I love the whole thing with Texas. This is why I love the fact that Texas is not allowing this mandate, this whole vaccination shit, this whole mask mandate, this whole abortion shit. Texas is doing right, bro. Texas, I applaud you, Texas. And I will be moving to Texas because there is no other place I'd rather be than a place where people have the right to choose between life, have the right to breathe the fucking air, the God-given oxygen that was allowed to them by the Almighty, by the Creator God, by the Most High. So if you want to impede on my rights to choose, which is the right to defend life, then I give you the middle finger and I say go to hell. Deeper, deeper down this hellhole you go, motherfuckers. Peace.